Mama feeling like a zoo. Can't tell what to do.
Hey,
Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's going on?
we are here. Excited to kick off season 3. Of course, I'm Ashley of Ashley Nicole,
And I'm Paige Benjamin of Atomic Travels.
and we are here with like a special edition. We want to talk to y'all. We want to see y'all's faces. We want to connect episode. So I guess let's see. So it's I see it started on what is this, Facebook. I gotta check YouTube. I trust that technology works. So I guess we're gonna just kick it on off
Yeah,
with
there you go.
what you've been up to, Paige.
Well, I am newly married, if that counts for anything. And the amazing Ashley Nicole was in attendance. Um, Definitely was an emotional experience. I dropped a couple thug tears out there. There's no video, so nobody can, prove otherwise. Um, but yeah, it was really a dope experience. 50 plus friends and family, including yourself, pulled up and had an amazing experience in Morocco, Marrakesh to be exact. So super dope and excited to see the footage. The group, y'all was just showering us with photos from y'all's individual experiences. So that was definitely dope.
It was awesome. It was awesome to be invited. It was awesome to be present. Anybody who wasn't crying, Paige decided he would go and make a speech or make sure everybody shed thug tears whenever it was too dry. So, everybody got their refreshing cry out at least twice.
I mean, it ain't a wedding without nobody crying. You know what I mean? So, but I will say the path to that day wasn't easy, right? There was a lot of work I had to do on myself. There was a lot of work that Jackie had to do for herself, and there's a lot of work we had to do together as a couple in making sure that we are ready for this union, right? And it's one of those things where you know having God in the center as well as adding supplementals, i.e., relationship counselors, definitely help. Right, it definitely helped in making sure that um, we were on the same page and the same trajectory for our relationship. So that is definitely important. Plus, I mean, we gained new friends and families and networks. You know what I mean? I don't know about y'all, but Ashley was out here networking. We about to have some amazing new faces on the show this season. Um, and yeah, man, it was dope. It was dope to see Alana in person. So she's on here. Hey, Alana, it was good. Oh, there she go. One of our biggest supporters, of course. But yeah, how about you? What you been up to?
So aside from like being in school for a doctorate, managing my mental health, working on a holistic wellness coaching program for Ashley Nicole, and also working on just what's next and making sure that that's clean so that I can begin to like launch some of those things. Other than that, it's been all cheese on my cracker.
Hey, listen. Keeping on. You know what? Getting it on a cracker is a challenge. Keeping it on our cracker
It's a
is
challenge.
also another challenge, right? And so, this season, I think we have an amazing sets of topics. The first one of which, I mean, is personal to you and kind of like a real close to home. I mean, it can't be any closer, right? You are the center of the conversation. Well, both of us are kind of right in the sense of, not realizing the impact of properly being diagnosed, properly, being prescribed the right medication, and people understanding the difference between like a person who's in the right space and not. and not realizing that like sometimes people, react different when they're not in their regular mindset. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I
So
think, and even in preparing for this episode coming up, um, dealing with misdiagnosis and my issues, I think another thing that's important to our community, which I know we're going to touch on this conversation, is I was one of those people who didn't want to be on medicine. I figured when I get to a certain point, I'll be good. And then just dealing with mental health, like we don't do that with heart medicine. We don't do that with insulin. Like I've never seen anybody not do any work whatsoever and say, all right, my blood pressure is normal, so I'm gonna just not take this anymore for the rest of my life because my heart was functioning correctly. So I think that that's a conversation that I can't wait to have Wednesday when we launch season 3.
they
um Another thing I can't wait that's coming up is a victory on your behalf because Ashley wants to keep everybody satisfied. We have a lot more conversations coming up that everybody might not agree on. And I'm looking forward to we've been working to kind of get guests on that may have a different opinion. I'm looking forward to those conversations where everybody's not going to be like, yeah, I agree too. Let's have a party.
right,
Like,
right.
hey,
And on top of that, like, oh man,
you finna cry?
my phone died.
Ah. We'll be right back after these brief messages. There aren't any, but imagine. So while we're waiting on the technical difficulties, I just want to take this time to just shout out mental wellness. If your employer does not cover mental health services, or if you're having problems finding that, there is a number of services. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we have Headspace, we have Talkspace. Um, what's the one that I used? I used to use it starts with a C, I think. They don't do partnerships, so I don't even have a code to give you, but I did reach out. There are a number of tele mental health services that can provide video therapy, video psychiatry, video psychology, all of which are different specialties. And hopefully, we can get some information out soon advising like what's the difference in those because dealing with my mental health, I just found out that they are all different purposes for different things. So, I'm looking forward to that this season. Just doing more in regards to educating. You may have noticed there a slight shift, and as we get more into the season, you'll see more. We're shifting from mentioning mental health to mental wellness. When we think about wellness and we think about mental health, we don't think about the same things we think about in regards to general wellness. So I'm looking forward to doing more educating on the cheese on my cracker front, on the nonprofit front, on mental wellness overall. And so we're still waiting on Paige's technical difficulties. We ask you to bear with us. Anybody tuning in, do you have any questions, comments, concerns? I don't know how long it's been, but we're going to give it just a moment. Will we discuss more about how you fell into the path of getting the correct diagnosis? Absolutely. The first episode that we have is going to be spotlighting that. So, if you've been following along on social media, I just recently found out that, oh, his phone died. Do you need the link? That I recently found out that I suffer from mania disorder, which is bipolar. And there's a story that goes along with that, which I'll be happy to share with y'all more coming up. But yeah, there's a whole lot into that, and we'll be talking about that on Wednesday's episode when we talk about the amount of my journey and the amount of Black people, men, women, children that are misdiagnosed today. There's a lot of I'm sorry. There's a lot of our community that are either misdiagnosed with underdiagnosis or overdiagnosed, given all the same general diagnosis. So we'll be getting into that this week as well. Hold on just a moment. On the upcoming episode, you're referring to this Wednesday, this first episode? Okay, yeah. So, um, I have some stats and figures. We have a psychiatrist that's going to be coming on, um, just talking about how there's a lot of misdiagnosis. We'll be talking about the side effect of being on the wrong treatment program, the real life testimony of Paige and I's journey on my particular journey, as well as different things that involve with just living with a diagnosis or a mental health diagnosis. I sent it. Just a moment. Oh, those are so many layers. Email it. Okay. Just a moment. So yeah, all of that will be a part of the conversation. I'll be talking about the diagnosis. I'll be talking about how I found out that um this was me. I'll be talking about how I accepted that this was my oh that this was my journey, as well as like the this was like the whole process of like finding a therapist, going through all the testing to confirm, what is it that's wrong, still having to prove that I do actually have an issue or whatever. And then thank you, Lana. And then just dealing with finding out about the diagnosis and getting properly treated. Also, this season we have that episode. We have an episode about colorism. We have an episode. Um, hold on a second. Pardon me. So we have an episode about colorism. There was this video I watched about skin bleaching. I can't wait to talk about that. We have some guests that I think are going to give so much insight into either side of that discussion. Hopefully, we can move towards some resolutions. We have an episode coming up where we're going to be talking about families and family dynamics. It was something that came up last season about The Village. So I can't wait for that episode as well. Oh, there we go. Oh.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Oh man. Yeah, dope. My apologies all. All the things Ashley was saying was just definitely amazing. You want to continue?
Yeah, so we have the episode about The Village, we have the episode about colorism. We have some really heavy episodes that are going to be dealing with trauma and grief. Our go-getter community with our Black entrepreneurialism and Black moving up the ladder. So we've got like we don't have any sense. We have a shit ton of good stuff coming this season. Right. Get into it. We may even we'll be looking at extending the season. So when I tell you we have a lot of good stuff coming up, I mean we have a lot of good stuff coming up. We've got tons of episodes. We have some stuff that y'all asked for ever since the first season. We have some stuff that have been coming up, current events, things of that nature. I can't wait to get into those episodes. Paige, while you were dealing with the technical difficulties, Alana asked about some of the things that we're going to be looking forward to on this episode coming up. And I was able to answer from my perspective, but as far as about what do you have to say about what was coming up on that discussion?
Oh yeah, so that episode was definitely, so kind of a little backstory on that episode. Ashley and I have been in a funk since November-ish. Right. And it's been like trying to find the right time, trying to communicate. And in the midst of it all, it was like, as she mentioned, like being bipolar or being manic, there are these instances of you just not being yourself, or other people may not notice that you're being yourself. And me being the person that I am, I'm very conscious of being respectful of the people that I work with. And, it got to a point where I was like, look, Ashley, what did I do to offend you? Because Ashley's not a passive person, but then she was being passive. And then she was being, and not emotional and like, oh, she's an emotional woman, but was like, there were instances where I felt like I was hurting her feelings. But for me, our banter is always, I assumed our banter would remain the same the way it started. And when things shifted, it's led me to like ask different questions, right? Questions, how are you doing? What's going on? I noticed some changes in you. And I think it was like, not even a breakdown, but like she finally was like, look, I haven't had my prescribed meds since August or September, and I've been a little off, and I just realized I was misdiagnosed. And it was one of those, it was like light bulb lit up. It was like, what is this show but being able to show people real life experiences, real life people going through these scenarios, right? And I asked, hey, Ashley, the first episode of the season, would you mind talking about your experience? And I think that was important because, neither one of us are perfect, right? We're not looking to project a perfect persona. We are individuals that are constantly working on ourselves. And I think for those that are in similar situations as Ashley, being able to understand and have these conversations is going to be very important. especially when it's, you know, the stigma around mental health is such one that people that are dealing with some certain disorders or certain diagnoses are hesitant to tell the people around them, sometimes to their own detriment, right? And so we put together the episode, and you know, from that point forward, our dynamic shifted in the sense of, all right, I know you're not coming from a different place. I know you're coming from a different mindset. Mm-hmm. And now that we know how to adjust, we were able, like, we pumped out, but 8 or 10 episodes right after that. And so right now, I guess, I believe like sometime after that, you were properly diagnosed and properly prescribed, and we got a brand new Ashley. You know what I mean? Well, not brand new Ashley, new and improved Ashley, right? That's super dope. That's super dope. And then Alana said we got an episode about an amazing family. Well, you know, I don't know about that because I don't know if I'm gonna be privy to that conversation. But you know, we do have a Family Ties episode coming up. You know, just talking about, you know, lack of a better term, blended families. I think you guys' story is pretty interesting in the fact that y'all are a very unique blended family based on the conversation we've had. And I think the nucleus of that was your father, right? And I think the conversations you guys are going to have, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to have a whole bunch of people envying y'all, right? I mean, don't get it twisted. There was problems, but I think the way the adults went about handling things is the way all adults should handle things, right? Because when it comes to the village, the adults are the trendsetters, right? You guys set the tone as the adults. The children should know what's going on. And so that's definitely dope. Cheese on My Cracker is expanding. We are expanding and adding 2 additional shows. The State of the Black Man's Mental Health, and then I'm not sure what we're calling the women's show. We have an amazing group that we're going to be working with. Well, you guys already know about the Royalty Project. And then we have an upcoming group, Corporate Revolutionary, which it's going to be an amazing collaboration with Ashley and Cheese on My Cracker. So, talk about that. Before you get there, I just want to kind of we are going to be making the men's conversation. So the last season, we experimented with a 3-part series of being able to have men openly have a dialogue around the importance of their mental health, their mental wellness, and where they are as far as that concerned. And it was well received by the audience. It was well received by the gentlemen that were on the panel. And so what we will do is we will continue the State of the Black Man's Mental Health on a monthly basis. First one this season will be, season 1 officially, or extension of the original, will start May 7th, 5 p.m. Eastern. We will have adverts out for that coming soon. We have an amazing, diverse panel. You will actually have a preview of one of our panelists, professionals, that's going to be on this week's episode coming up, Dr. Johnson. And he's an amazing individual. And hopefully we get Mrs. Johnson on one of the episodes. A little bit about the Johnsons. Mr. Johnson walked my wife down the aisle, and then Mrs. Johnson gave us some amazing breathing techniques so that we can practice on a regular basis every morning, so that we can find tranquility and mindfulness and peace, So that was pretty dope. Your thoughts, Ashley, on one, the Johnsons, and then two, kind of building up that next show, that third show. Look, we're growing 3 shows, right? Isn't that great?
I'm super excited. One, the Johnsons are like awesome people. And one of the things with me when I'm traveling, especially like learning myself, because I think the thing with mental health is people think that it looks like one thing, but it looks like something totally different. I've always been kind of introverted. The Johnsons, they didn't see that. They were holding the conversation. And such a comfortable conversation that I didn't feel out of place talking to them. Like by the end of the day, the first day, we knew each other's lives. We knew all about each other, and told them that we need them on the episode or need them as reoccurring guests. I let them know, like, look, this is my intention for y'all. They're amazing people. I can't wait for y'all to meet them. I was super excited when Paige brought the idea to do the men series because I feel like there's, even in doing research and doing the show, I know my family and my circle that I'm connected to on social media. I see that the number one thing that men are saying is that, what about us? So that conversation gave us a chance to hear men talk, to not interject. I stepped back and allowed Paige the space to create that show, create that space, and to have a space specifically for men so that they can have the conversations that they need to have. And it was one of the more awesome, like, I love all of our episodes. All of them are my favorite. But that series was like one of my favorite things because it was so great. And I'm just looking forward to the ongoing conversations where they touch on different topics and just begin to do the work that it takes to get more men into a healthier space with their overall holistic wellness. With that being said, Black women, what's the quote? Black women are the most unprotected people. I think that was Malcolm X. I know somebody somewhere is going to correct me, and I am okay with that because I took my medicine today. Black women are the most unprotected people, and I feel like with dealing with my illness, dealing with just the level of entrepreneurialism that it took to start this show, to start this organization, and to have my own organization on the side while I'm also in school for a doctor, while I'm also working 9 to 5. There's so many, that list can go on. And there's so many of us dealing with more than one thing at a time. So I can't wait to bring that series of conversations on. What those two series are going to give you is, on the show, we are blackety black. If you're a Black woman, if you're a Black man, if you're a Black other, whatever you are, as long as you identify somewhere under that POC Black spectrum, we're talking to you. In those two series, they are creating a space specifically for men and specifically for women. However, whichever one you identify with, that's your room. You will not, what you will see is men having a space and not being interrupted, not being corrected. What you will see is women having a space and not being mansplained. I don't know the woman version of that, so I didn't say it. We'll see women having a space, not being mansplained, not speaking their piece and then being told why being invalidated. What you will see is a common ground for us to talk, for the men to talk, and get to a place where it's like, okay, so I'm not alone and these feelings are valid. And now my next step is to address these feelings, address these issues, get a therapist, go to yoga, meditate, whatever it takes to move to that next level of wellness. It feels like I've been talking for 20 minutes.
No, you good. You good. Listen. The audience said they need to hear more of you, more from you. So talk on. You know what I mean? And don't forget, right? We did something major last year. Cheese on My Cracker Foundation. We have officially, because of you guys and the ability to kind of reach people, we really wanted to make this more than just a entertainment platform, right? we are aiming to make this more. And so with the Getting My Cheese Back on My Cracker foundation, we are looking to be able to provide support to those in the community that needs the help, whether it be referring you to a specialist, whether it be mental health specialists, work fitness specialists, dietitian, primary cares in your region. We really want to be able to make sure that we are able to help you become your whole self by servicing the different pieces of you so that you can maintain your peace. Ashley chose the puzzle piece for our logo and our brand because we are not just a single piece. There are multiple aspects of us that all need to be catered to and taken care of. And what we believe in is making sure that we can provide those resources. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Ashley?
Absolutely. What is happening? Oh, absolutely. So with the organization, one of the things that Paige and I were seeing, of course, what led us to have this show is the discussion and knowing that we have this group of friends over here, and we have this person over here, this person over there. Everybody's dealing with their mental health, and everybody's having the same struggles and just repeating those struggles. That's what led to this show. And as we got to the show, we realized that there's a need for education. There's a need for a platform or some kind of connection so that we can connect these professionals, culturally competent care, or we have our Black therapists, Black psychiatrists, or just people who understand our points of view, helping us to get over whatever those hurdles that we're facing. So that's what led us to going ahead and creating the nonprofit so that we can help make those necessary connections as far as helping people to realize, helping our community to realize that, okay, there's some steps that I need to take. Where do I need to start? Reach out to Cheese on My Cracker. We'll help you get started. We'll help with we're looking forward to educating what mental health is, what it looks like, what it doesn't look like, when you need to reach out to help, and then getting you connected to that help. So that's pretty much what we've been working on. Super excited about what's coming up down the pipeline. There's some things as far as just simply organizing getting the organization together, getting our fantastic board together, getting the research done, taking each little step so that when we present what we have for you guys, we can go ahead and just what is it, boots to grass, get it done, get it working, get everybody. I want us all to be healthy and I want us all to be well. So taking those steps.
Yeah, so we're calling all public health professionals. You guys are the backbone of this community. The research you guys are doing, the information you guys for us to disseminate to the community is very important. We're looking out for Black therapists, Black and Latino therapists to be exact. I think there was a stats that was like, 4 out of 10 therapists are people in the POC, people of color category, right? We're looking for people that are willing to help assess and redirect. We're looking for people that, are willing to be a provider, right? It can start as simple as, hey, let's get you guys a consultation. Hopefully people that have multiple licenses in different states so that, we can kind of get the ball rolling as far as being able to provide teleservices to people. And so, yeah, we're really trying to make sure that we cater to as many people as we can, such that, we are within the Black Wall Street, but on the mental health space, right? We want to be able to keep that dollar within our community, keep the services within our community, so that the people in our community don't have to worry about where do I go to get a Black therapist? Where do I go to get a Black nutritionist, right? A dietitian? Where do I find a Black OBGYN? Where do I find a Black fitness instructor, right? We want to be that focal point, because at the end of the day, we know the struggles of sifting through our insurance provider list and not knowing who we're going to get when we pick up the phone. So we definitely are looking for everybody to help us build our directory so that we can kind of reach out to you and say, how can we help you as a provider, and so that we can know the best way to support our community.
Absolutely. And like you said, and one of the things that I decided to do my double duty with the doctorate and with starting a nonprofit. My initial research started with the barriers to access, and it's gone swim down like different less broader topics. But one of the major things that I was finding in the beginning of my research is the number one reason that Black people are not seeking out mental health, aside from the stigma, is mistrust, socioeconomic barriers, and just lacking culturally competent care. So when we say that we're going to be connecting Black therapists, Black yoga instructors, Black psychiatrists, Black doctors to the Black community, it's not a matter of picking and choosing who deserves to have clients. It's a matter of these people are looking for these doctors, but they don't have access to them, whether it's not being able to find them in their provider directory, not being able to figure out how they work, or if they don't have insurance, how am I going to pay for this therapist? And then I know for me, even when I was looking through Psychology Today or ZocDoc or any of the other things, if they don't have a picture listed, I don't know who they are. And in my experience, when I've gone to non-Black doctors, I felt like I'm not being heard. So that's one of the major things as far as dealing with the culturally competent care, making sure that we can connect the people who are searching for services to the people that they're looking for.
Yeah,
and I think
and
makes it a hurdle.
yeah, and then I think that's key because, one of the things that, I mean, even with leveraging Psychology Today, you may get a picture of a Black therapist, but that's not necessarily who you end up working with, right?
Right.
Some of these organizations, they have interns, they have MSW interns, right? That, are therapists. And I'm not gonna lie, the last therapist I had, I signed up because the woman was a Black woman therapist, and then on my intake it was a young a young Hispanic lady, and I was like, this is not what I signed up for. But it's they're training under the tutelage of this lady, and I think I had a really good experience. You know what I mean? It's one thing for if it was a white woman trying to assist me, I would have probably been a little bit more hesitant. But I think because there's a cultural relevance there and understanding, that it made me a little more ease. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's almost a science into trying to find the right therapist, right? And one of the things that even during our initial conversation before starting the show was you might have to go through a couple to realize which one is the best fit for you. Even in relationship counseling, our second counselor ended up becoming the one that we continued with. And not to discredit the first, because I think the first one provided us the foundations that allowed us to be able to go into the second one and kind of understand things a little better. You know what I mean? So, that might be an episode in itself. Is going through the process of, all right, how did you find your, literally recreating that conversation, because we'd be surprised as to how people go about finding the person that they're working with. Because, one, finding a person within the demographics, within the criteria you're looking for is one. The whole second part is, are they in network, right? With Psychology Today and some of the other other pages, you can kind of determine, you can filter by your insurance plan. Well, oddly enough, our relationship therapist or counselor, she took one insurance and not the other, right? And so that, like, it was Jackie's insurance versus my insurance, and it was one of those things where it was like she took Jackie's and not mine. There's challenges to that, right? So for those that don't know, some counselors will go the route of having individual. They'll alternate between individual conversations and then group conversations with your mate. And the individuals are meant to just kind of have the discussions that you may not be 100% comfortable talking in front of your mate, so that they can get a better understanding of you, right? And these are things that people don't know, right? Like, you automatically assume, all right, well, it's under my insurance, it'll cover both of us. But there are licensing and regulations. I live in New Jersey. Jackie lives in New York. The counselor is licensed in New York and not New Jersey. So to meet with me in New Jersey is not legally, accepted. So it was just, an interesting experience, to say the least. But those are things I definitely think we should, tap on and discuss, because there are so many nuances and that I think that goes towards the barriers to entry, right? The barriers to education, the educational aspect of, like, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Why are you looking for therapy? What are you looking for out of therapy? What type of person are you looking for? And then once you find the person, like, what are their requirements? Right? Like, how many times have you found somebody cool on Psychology Today or any of the other platforms, and you're like, oh, they take Aetna, or they take, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and you got United Healthcare, right? And you're like, and their out-of-pocket expenses are, like, ridiculous. You know what I mean? You got to be darn good for me to pay that out-of-pocket expense. But that definitely is an experience, and I think that's something that maybe we should talk about.
So I did want to ask, and I'm pretty sure there's an episode that's either scheduled or in the possibles. So I know since we've been friends that I've seen your relationship bloom. Do you think that the show played a role in awareness of, like, how to be a better partner and eventually become a husband?
So that's kind of where the men's show is going, right? So the men's show is going to really be about relationships, and not just a romantic one, but all of the relationships we have and how they have an impact on us mentally. Oddly enough, I tried my best to be, like, professional, right? So Jackie's on screen, I'm on screen. We kind of, like, almost don't know each other type of scenario. So I do think the show helped opened up her perspective to getting help, right? And opened up to the idea of it. And I can't speak completely for her, but I think this show, for me, I know was a passion. Is a passion project, right? I think everybody should have therapy, whether it's because you're going for this new job and you're anxious and you don't know why you're anxious. Like, oddly enough, I'm the type of person that I don't get nervous for interviews. I get nervous negotiating my worth, which is weird, right? I go into the interview cool as a cucumber, knock them all off their feet, but then it goes into the concept of, what am I worth, right? Like, imposter syndrome kicks in. Is like, can I ask for the maximum? Can I not? And I will say Jackie jumped in like a champ. It was like, no, you're going to ask for this, that, and the other, and then you're going to do this, that, and the other. And then I got it. And I was like, oh, snaps. But yeah, and I think, for us to answer your question, I don't know. Like I said, like we kind of like made like oh, you're here, and try not to do too much on screen. But I think it helped to an extent.
I think it was hilarious. I remember you telling me, like, I got this girl, yada yada yada, and then Jackie was like on every other episode, and I was like, they in the same place. And then like, Jackie's my girlfriend. I was like, it's making sense now.
Yeah. And the thing is that the cool thing about us is we're a pandemic relationship, right? So if you've seen these memes about pandemic babies, I think pandemic relationships are similar, right? You really jump started a relationship during the height of no one can go anywhere, no one can do anything, and it was like 2 years felt like 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, and so we got to know each other very well, very fast. And one of the things that I learned about her is like, she is an avid supporter of everything that I do, and then vice versa, right? And so much so, she convinced me to be my co-host for season 3 of Travel Tuesday Happy Hour, which is Couples Goals. Out now. Please go check it out. And we interviewed about 15 couples. She asked questions I wouldn't have asked, and not intrusive, but like, simple questions like who shot their shot? You know what I mean? Like questions like who asked who first, and, things that I wouldn't have thought of, which added an additional layer. Don't tell her I said this. But, I think she added to the show that feminine energy that I've struggled to tap into. You know what I mean? So I will admit she added to the show. Don't tell her I said this, although this is live. But yeah, I think this show, as well as all the other things that we've supported each other on, definitely helped, right? And this is kind of like a big part of our counseling, which was understanding like what's the root of our love for each other, and what's the root of our relationships that keep us going. Because no relationship is perfect. You guys will argue or have differences of opinions, but at the crux of your relationship, understanding that there's like a core thing that keeps y'all together regardless of what happens. That's something that we learned that we've always had since day one. And regardless of our disagreements or our misunderstandings, we've always returned back to that. And so, to answer your question, inadvertently, yeah, this show did help. Directly, we both probably would be like, no, not really. You know what I mean?
That sentence didn't have a period.
You said what?
That sentence didn't have a period. I was listening.
I was just done. I speak a second language, so sometimes I don't know where my punctuations go.
It's cool. We on the same page there. I'm super duper excited. Another thing that I'm looking forward to this season. I'm not sure. I guess the way the conversations have been through our growth, I don't know, people may have presumed that we are mental health professionals, whereas we're really just two friends that were having conversations about mental health, and we decided to invite people in. So right. I'm looking forward to that dynamic, because I think in the beginning we tried to have professionals on each episode, and it was awkward and they were uncomfortable. The second season we got more conversation out. This third, I'm looking forward to having more conversation and drop some facts in, but with people knowing that, okay, look, I'm a level 1 IT technician, so I can. That's
about to have a PhD, so don't give yourself too little of credit, right? Mm-hmm. But no, I think your point is correct. This show is literally about open dialogue, It's about it's about having the discussion about how mental health impacts us in our community, how it impacts us individually, because unless you see somebody talking about it, and once again, we're not the only platform doing it, right? But
Right.
we have to continue to propel the idea that mental health discussions or talking about mental health is not bad, right? It's actually good, it's healthy, because the more open we are to talk about it, the less we run into issues in our social circles, in our employment, in our relationships. The less we are judgmental of those that are going through a manic phase, right?
Mhm.
That are that may have gone through a traumatic experience, and it just doesn't know how to open up, right? Like, military vets are probably one of the worst, right? In the sense that they've seen so much that they may not know how to open themselves up to be vulnerable, because coming from where they what they've experienced, being vulnerable is life or death. And so, we really want to make sure that everybody understands that this is a safe space. We are live. We do monitor conversations or monitor comments that are on the chat, but it's not until we show people this is a safe space, that they will kind of you'll start seeing new faces. You'll start seeing people open up about the different topics. I mean, we've had some tough topics last season, and we're hoping to kind of continue that path of, let's kind of like start asking the difficult questions. Let's start talking about the controversial topics, that could potentially get us canceled, but will it? Right? Will it? And if it does get us canceled, let's have a conversation as to why we're canceled, right?
Mhm.
Because if we're doing something wrong, we just want to know, what could we do to make it better? What questions are we not asking, right? Because at the end of the day, this show is for y'all. This show is to make sure that everyone watching feels like they can relate to the person on the screen. If not Ashley and I, recommend some people. Let us know who you think would be a good fit for any of the topics. And speaking of topics, over the next couple of weeks, we'll be dropping topics on our timeline as well in our stories of topics of which you guys are more than welcome to join. Cheese on My Cracker website, new and improved, is up now. We are going to be posting the topics there as well, so that people can go check out the topics, check out past episodes, audio and visual. And then, we're also looking for people that want to kind of tell their story. If you don't want to jump on the screen, and talk about your story, share your story. We're looking for stories to put on our blog, around whatever topics that you guys want to talk about, so that others can read and relate to it. Ashley?
Absolutely. If you don't, if you're camera shy, you don't want to be a guest, we absolutely would love for your story to feel your story is important. I think one of the major issues of battling the stigma in the Black community is talking about it. We have a thing where we feel like if you talk about something, it makes it worse, but it's actually like proven empirical evidence that that's incorrect. So talking about our mental wellness, having these shows is a way to combat that. If you're not able to, I understand everybody doesn't want to be on YouTube because YouTube is terribly ugly. If you step in the wrong direction, those comments will kill you. If you don't want to be on the episode, feel free to reach out, email us, message us. You can message us on any social media platform. We can get you in the blog, either get you with your type credit and all of that good stuff, or post your anonymous story, because whether you realize it or not, that knowledge is going to help someone. You may be helping me, you may be helping Paige, you may be helping somebody who don't know that the issue that they're going through, they're not going through it by themselves. So I definitely look forward to that on the new updated website, which Paige so carefully put together so that we can give you guys the information that you need and also continue to grow as an organization, as a show. We talked about the blog, we talked about the podcast and guests. Yeah, so you said something else, didn't you?
No, that was it. That was it. I think we are good. We are looking forward to seeing you guys this week. Coming up with this first episode. I think having Dr. Johnson on is going to be a breath of fresh air. This gentleman has a very regal presence, and very calming at the same time. So we are definitely excited to have Dr. Johnson on so that we can kind of, get this season going. So I want to thank you, everybody, Alana, for jumping on. Yeah, definitely, Ashley, thank you for coming all the way to Marrakesh. Look, y'all go to Atomic Travels. And actually, Ashley Nicole probably got some pitch posted already, right? No, not yet. Okay, so check out, look, Atomic Travels. I usually post these things a couple of months out. I'm a year behind right now, but for this, I will make an exception. So you guys will start seeing some posts from Marrakesh coming up soon. You're going to see some posts of me and Ashley, dynamic duo up in Marrakesh, in a nice little garb. Ashley came out here stunning. I'm going to tell y'all this right now. But it was great to see my co-host, my business partner come on and support, and really kind of meet the family, meet the friends, and hear the good things people have to say about me. There's some good things people have to say. But with that being said, I'm good. And welcome to season 3 of Getting My Cheese Back on My Cracker. And I hope you guys enjoy what we have in store.
And I can't wait to see you.
Hey, peace.